we're building is a way for people to translate dog barks. Now you might be like, this is science fiction, it doesn't work, there's no way anyone in their sane mind would try to work on this. And you're right, no one in their sane mind would try to work on this, but it is possible because dogs have multiple ways of vocalizing. I would try to show you, but the decks are not available. So what you have to do is, does anyone here have a dog? Okay. How many of you actually speak to your dog as if they could understand you? Well, that's because they can't understand you. There's a part of every dog's brain that they understand human vocalizations. They've evolved that over thousands of years with people. However, when they vocalize to us, we can kind of grasp emotional information. This has been done from like babies all the way to adults. What we found is that with AI, you can identify key parts of their speech, identify that, put them in clusters, and then create understanding from there. Now, we've created our own models because a lot of our data is out of the distribution for all frontier labs. So you can imagine that there's no real other effort in trying to translate and understand dogs at the same level we do. What we've created is a device that sits on the dog, understands their vocalization over the course of their life. What we end up doing is extracting key features. We can determine what kind of coughs they are is that kennel cough or heart disease, what kind of sneeze they have, what kind of behavioral issues they have, what kind of triggers they have to skateboards, doorbells, etc. But then what we can also capture is parts of speech. So then over time, we create an understanding of their vocalization patterns, figure out what that means, and then the relationship between you and your dog creates a better understanding of what they're saying and how they say it. So we've created the model, we've created the device, we're now taking this to market, so we're raising money. So if anyone here is an investor, we're willing to talk, but we have the opportunity to create a business that's incredibly powerful. So if you look at a lot of our competitors, they are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue with just location tracking. We can do disease tracking, we can do behavior tracking. And so this is the current prototype of the device. If you go to if you click next, this is the production version. We're already getting into manufacturing, and so we're looking to scale up our manufacturing and marketing costs. So by the time we release, we'll already have about $10 million of pre-orders.
My name is Christian. I'm the founder and CEO of Procurement Sciences AI. We're building the AI native operating system for government contractors. It's coming up. Before that gets going though, the government is the #1 largest buyer in the world. They spend about $1 trillion a year on goods and services. It is a completely broken process, so for anyone who's gone through this, typically government contractors, which are the businesses that are actually giving goods or services to the government, will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, wasted with no guarantee of actually winning. It's very complex, it's compliance driven, it's regulated, and that causes this very big challenge. For us, based on my background and my team's background, we were former government contractors. We started to build out this end-to-end AI platform to automate all of the inefficiencies. What we effectively did was took things that used to take months, converted them down to minutes. Because of that, we have been growing extremely quickly. Today, we're closing in on 12 million in ARR in the first 3 years of our business. We're backed by Battery Ventures as our lead investor, moving towards our Series B right now. What we're looking for is angel investors to close out our Series B, and then also partners to join in as we go into our Series C and beyond. Our goal is to build the entire end-to-end operating system, so that means not just helping with automating proposals and business development, but getting into the CLM space, the ERP space, the payments, the lending, and beyond, because everything government contractors do is hyper-specific and niche, but also very broken. So thank you.
I figured I would start with a question relevant to today's morning briefings, which is, will human expertise matter in the AI era? And I think our perspective is it will actually matter more than ever. So we decided to approach this problem because in spite of that, the recruiting process is fundamentally broken. I don't know if any of you have been through that, but let's just say there's some issues with it. So we decided to approach this by working with the world's most elite recruiters, which is basically executive search. And in executive search, these people can make $200K per placement, earn well into the 7 figures per year. So these are very elite recruiters. They're kind of like, they're really exceptional at what they do, but they don't have the right tools to work with. So in particular, they still use LinkedIn, and then they use a patchwork of different systems Crunchbase, CB Insights, et cetera. And they're left trying to cobble together kind of fragments of information. So what we built was basically a Gen AI stack to pull together that all into one umbrella. And I would show it to you, but I think they're still loading the PowerPoint. But basically, the biggest unlock is how important is it if you were to, let's say, Uber, right? Uber is a very flashy logo, very impressive. But if you worked at Uber prior to 2017, that tells a very different story than if you worked there after. Does anyone know what happened in 2017? Travis Kalanick, right? He was axed. It's a pretty infamous story here in the Valley. So pre-Travis, post-Travis is very important, and yet most recruiters don't have access to that. I don't have time to really untangle the different operating phases of a company and which phase were you there and what story does that tell about the arc of your career. So most of them really look at where these impressive company logos, check, and then they spend a lot of time potentially targeting the wrong people, doing assessments, phone screens. It's kind of like a CIA targeting officer without the NSA to tell them who to target. So that's kind of where we come in, is give them the right target list. And we came out of stealth, announced a 5.5 million seed round in April. And with that, I'll hand it over. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, I'm Greg Children. I'm the founder and CEO of Vent Creativity. So Vent Creativity is changing the way healthcare is addressed. Up until this point, 30 years ago, you might have heard that in International Space Station, there was supposed to be a robot that operates on patients if an astronaut has a problem. And 30 years later, the same robots and same technology are getting used to do surgery and planning. So nothing really had changed. It's just incremental changes to the system itself. So we're going to bring everything down and break it down, and not moving at all. Well, we're going to bring everything down and essentially create a surgical model, which we have already FDA cleared. And that works by understanding how a human moves around the world and basically creating a digital twin of your patient and then understanding how those muscles and ligaments and bones are interacting with each other. Using that, we can use sports medicine surgery where an athlete gets an ACL torn, or an elderly who needs a total knee or total hip replacement, and understand where that implant should go, what size implant, and how the surgeon should address that problem. So the problem is usually surgeons have a preconceived notion of what to do for every patient, and that translates into about 20 to 30% dissatisfaction, and that's $4 billion to the industry. So obviously the patient has to go back to revision surgery, very intrusive, and then the hospitals are on the hook for the first 90 days, so there's a huge amount of cost that goes into basically just winging it. And a lot of people are looking for that silver bullet to understand, what can we do to really address this problem, and what's that single thing that's going to help us. And with that, oftentimes there's problems because every patient is different. So our surgical planning system, that's a digital twin of the patient, comes from medical images. And those images are then translated into a kinematic model. Then we can understand each patient's complications and then address it before the surgeon even operates. So that means that in the surgery, there's minimal risk to the patient, and the surgeon knows exactly what to do. That way there's no complications, which means that traditionally 30 to 40 minute surgery doesn't prolong to 2 to 3 hours. So it's going to be very predictable, understand what's going to go wrong. Still not. Anyway, so our system is already FDA approved, as I said, and we're in multiple hospitals. And we're approaching it very differently. As you can see, it's a point cloud technology, so similar to what self-driving cars are using. That means that there's a lot of diagnostic information in there, and we have a CPT code that supports that. And we're also working with very large implant manufacturers as well as robotic systems to help address the problems that they're having, which is, what do we do with the changing healthcare system? And instead of really looking to the reports or outcome studies, we're looking at objective measures to understand how the patient is going to interact with the world. And that's, we think, is going to be improving things. And we have a lot of hardware partners to work with, so we're sort of controlling the entire ecosystem so that, similar to Amazon model, we have a platform technology that can be dragged on into any medical imaging, any robotics, and we'll help them. Thank you.
All right.
I'm a recovering academic. I've been an academic for now over 15 years, broadly around AI, trust, and safety kinds of questions. In fact, I've placed students at Google and many other large corporations, startups, and all that fun. The other, maybe less confession, but more observation, is that we're all here for AI, yet I think despite all the excitement and promise, there are very few enterprise deployments at scale for AI agents that have been deployed to customers. And so the hypothesis, the thesis for Virtue AI is that what's blocking large-scale deployments for enterprises are all the safety and security issues that AI systems still have. And so Virtue AI comes from deep academic expertise. We saw a gap where we thought that we could provide new technology that could close, making it easier for enterprises to deploy AI systems, and develop a variety of tools to help fix these issues. Next slide, please. So we have 3 broad product categories. There's a red teaming product. This helps you evaluate in the sandbox your application, your AI agent, to figure out where the gaps in your system might be. Once you figure out what the gaps are, this gives you a nice report that you could sort of read. You could figure out what kinds of mitigations. We give you proposals for mitigations. Once you figure out what those gaps are, one of the most common mitigations are to use guardrails. So we have guardrails that we think are best in the market. We've compared against everyone else in the ecosystem. An easy comparison is to LlamaGuard, which some of you might know of if you are familiar with this space, an open source comparison. And we're more than 30 times faster than LlamaGuard. So this is important if you're going to do real-time applications where sort of latency really matters. And then we have agents products that help you sandbox and mitigate issues now that we're moving to a world with AI agents, where the security gap surface is growing quite quickly. Next slide, please. So some of the key capabilities, we make it easy to automate and scale. We have very broad risk coverage. We have real-time capabilities, so we're not slowing down your AI deployments. Next slide, please. We also have the ability to incorporate new policy. So you give us a PDF document of a policy, we give you back sort of a new guardrail or a new evaluation system targeted at a written policy. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so just other things to mention. Again, we really think that broad coverage around the space will make it easier for many enterprises to deploy. We already have many of the sort of large corporations as customers, and we're quickly growing in this space in our footprint. So excited to present this to you today. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't think I have any slides, right? Okay, so no slides. How many people here have heard of uploading, like mind uploading, scanning your brain into a computer, running all of your neurons digitally? All right, how many people would want that if it worked? All right, we still got a few. All right, great. So that's what we're working on, eventually scanning people into computers at cellular resolution, single neuron, single synapse level resolution, to create a digital twin or copy of them that thinks, that feels, that is conscious in the same ways that we are. Feels this environment living in a digital world. We've all seen this in sci-fi. The show Upload on Amazon, Pantheon, Transcendence. It seems like it's probably way too far away, right? Like hundreds of years away, or at least after artificial superintelligence, like from AI. We think it might be more like 5 years away, much closer than you'd think. Because a fruit fly was scanned last year and is running, well, I had my laptop or whatever here, is running on my laptop right now. It can feed, it can groom. They tested 150 different behaviors on it. This is work from one of our founding scientists. And it's 95% accurate for the original fruit fly. Now, there's a lot of caveats. It doesn't have long-term memory. So it really lives in the moment, in the present. But what if we can get to humans? So my team is working on scanning a mouse in the next 2 years. This is at single neuron level resolution. It's a massive microscopy challenge. It's about 1,000 times bigger than a fruit fly. The total number of neurons is about 100 million, whereas fruit fly is only 100,000. But a mouse is a small mammal that can exhibit social behavior and complex decision making. It can run a maze. It can exhibit memories. If that works, we'll move on to human or like larger mammals, and eventually humans. We think potentially in the next 5 years. Now, why is this possible now rather than hundreds of years away? Well, microscopes have gotten way better. AI, we're all here for AI. AI has improved. You can apply it to piecing together images, stacks of images, and you can also learn neural activity functions, so like activation functions. Same as artificial neural nets. Neurons also have to decide when they're firing. They do it with chemistry, but you need to do lots of scanning, so collect a 3D structure. You need to train a neuron model for how those neurons actually fire. You take those two things, and you got an emulation.
I'd like to introduce Sandbox IQ. We're incubated in Google's startup. We're solving the basic problem of AI treating the physical world. So you can see here there's a lot of, we want to distinguish between what we call like the reach of LLMs, what you've kind of seen now. This is doing things like text processing, et cetera. But there's a lot of the physical economy that isn't directly influenced by that in the current form it is, because it's made of like stuff. So what we work on in Sandbox IQ, this is a term we coined as large quantitative models. That's a term we made up for messaging. It's not like something you'll find in a paper. What that means is models that are trained on quantitative data and go on to produce quantitative results. We're fueled right now by about 950 million. So we're not here for VC funding right now. I just want to introduce us. Gosh, I wish this would move forward. And what our mission is deep impact at scale. The basic idea is to find areas where we can deliver AI trained on quantitative data and use that to make advances in the physical world scale up in the same Moore's law sort of way that compute does. Because if you want to make like a thing that you can trip over, that's not something you can easily necessarily leverage compute in the same way as before. So we're looking to design new molecules, design new materials, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about here. The business unit that I'm most concerned about right now is our AQ Biosim, and what we are is basically a drug discovery team. So we've created what we call the React platform. You're seeing it described there. It's a mix of different what we call LQMs. These are models that produce, for example, a new molecule or a new protein. They're linked together into an integrated package that we're building agentic frameworks around to use and integrate. So this is something that we would hand over to chemists and allow them to find new molecules, new materials. And what just one second. Sorry, this thing isn't going forward. Here's, we've done some work recently with Dr. Stanley Prusner, a Nobel laureate, using these React platform. Working with him, we've been working with new neurodegenerative disease drugs and accelerated the timeline down from 2031 to 2022 as the projected time for this drug to hit preclinical. I wanted to talk to you especially about these two new data sets we're releasing. The first is SARE. It's a data set of public binding affinities, basically proteins paired with molecules with the affinity, which is the stickiness, basically, of the molecule to the protein included. We're really hoping to get this in the hands of all sorts of different researchers for things like AlphaFold, next-generation binding affinity models. We'll also be releasing in 2 days, AQ-Cat25, a similar data set of catalytic energies, which is specially tuned for catalysts specifically. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story. So this is me at a bunch of different defense conferences. We look really out of place because we're not, over 40 or 50. And this past summer, I just spent a lot of time running around defense conferences, talking to interesting manufacturers and distributors about their problems. My co-founder here, Nelson, he was actually working at a defense manufacturing firm, making lights and wire harnesses for C-130s, tanks, Humvees, so on and so forth. And you'd be amazed how outdated this is, right? Like they're processing papers, they're printing papers, they're shuffling them around these facilities. And this is really how our supply chain and industrial base operates right now. It's pretty crazy. I don't have the clicker. Oh, here's the clicker. Let's see. Cool. Okay. I convinced some of those manufacturers and distributors to let me back to their facility so I could really poke around in what they were working on and what they're doing. This is real. This is a real photo. In fact, most of the defense distributors and manufacturers in this space operate on something called DOS. How many people here have heard of that? Okay, yeah, I know. It was before my time, but you know what? Like, it was new to me. And so, for instance, here, this is a bearings manufacturer. They do hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue. And they're actually the #1 bearings manufacturer, or distributor, I should say, to the US government, right? So this is really our supply chain. Anything that moves, spins, or turns, that's what we're talking about. And they're operating on DOS. It's kind of terrifying to think that our supply chain is like this.
I'm sure a lot of people here are AI people, and so this is really where I started just being like, what is going on, right? How can we fix this? How can we change this? What does that look like? Okay, so what does AI bring and what are we working on? Clicker, please work. Maybe? Oh, there we go. Okay, so really in a pre-AI world, right, a lot of these manufacturers or distributors are sitting between unstructured and structured data. So what do I mean by that, right? You've got people sitting in offices, they're receiving emails, they're receiving CSVs, they're receiving a lot of different, maybe it's a voice call, a lot of different information about what they need, right? This is what our distributors do. They aggregate America's industrial base. Hey, what do you need? What can I do for you, right? So you've got an employee here, they're sitting between these data sources and they're making decisions, right? Maybe they get an email in, hey, can I get part number 1, 2, 3? They're then checking their ERP, hey, what can I do there? So on and so forth, right? It's really a manual data entry task and you're trying to figure out all of this stuff on the fly. Okay, what did we end up doing, right? Well, first we went and aggregated all of the data. So we took like, it was a lot, thousands of gigabytes of just government data and tons of different stuff that we could find online that the government could provide. And we started integrating with their emails, their ERPs, and government portals, right? And so when a request for quote comes in, hey, I need 1, 2, 3, this is just an example. Okay, we can go pull all that information. We can show the employee exactly everything that they need to be looking at to go and execute that request, right? It turns out that a lot of this stuff is what I would call like a state space. So you can really figure out what needs to happen next based on the unstructured or structured data coming into it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. This is automated ingestion, right? So they're looking at a bunch of different stuff. They're looking at emails. They're looking at portals. Maybe Lockheed or Boeing has a portal where they're saying, hey, can you please procure these parts? What can you do for me, right? We're essentially taking out the guesswork. We're aggregating all of that data, all this unstructured or structured data, and we're putting it into a unified format, right? So it doesn't matter where it's coming from, but we're going to unify the requests that are coming into this distributor.
Here's the opportunity. It is a $250 million creator economy. You guys can take these slides down. They don't mean anything. They're from some old deck. So the opportunity, it's the $250 billion creator economy that's going to double by 2027. The problem is that we're all drowning in the content from this creator economy. Think about your feeds. It is an avalanche of content. It is untenable, and it's not going to stop. It's only going to get faster and larger, okay? The other problem is humans are simply not equipped to handle the complexity, the scale, and the speed necessary to break through. And our marketers are struggling to break through. Brands can't break through. It is a dumpster fire, okay? But the solution is rad. We have built a business intelligence platform built for the creator economy and this situation. We have a platform and we have a workflow. It's based on 4 different delivery devices that we have. Number 1, audience insights that we are able to deliver to our clients in 1 day. Influencer discovery, which currently is just being identified now by bias and by instinct and not by social signals or fact. Number 3, content optimization. And number 4, brand safety. So let me dive in briefly and tell you a little bit about each one. So first we have our audience insights. We take large language models and we're able to ingest a tremendous amount of data across every social platform. So Reddit, YouTube, Meta, and we can understand the social interactions of all of the micro communities on those social media and the intent. We're using language, the intent of why we're there across any interaction. We're able to summarize, we're able to translate, we're able to predict how that content is going to work with micro audiences. The thing is, we're delivering that to our client in 1 day. Currently, an agency would take 6-9 weeks, 1 day. Currently, an agency would have 10-12 tools, 1 platform, 1 day for insights. Then we map those insights over to the influencers. Think about how many influencers are in your feed. We map the overlapping interests of the micro communities to the overlapping and cultural interests of the influencers. We match them, deploy them, stack rank them for our clients. Guess what? 1 day. That would take an agency 2-3 weeks. And we're able to understand the content that they use, and we're able to wrap it in brand safety. Am I out of time?
You're out of time. This is my dad. He runs a local diner in Hawaii, and currently he's struggling to bring in a lot of customers because he doesn't understand how to grow a digital presence presence, and he doesn't understand the first thing about effective social media marketing and understanding the nuances of these different platforms. And there's two current solutions. He can either A, learn the nuances between these different platforms and learn social media strategy himself, or B, hire a social media manager, which is really expensive in this day and age. And this is a problem we're seeing not only with small business owners. You can see how this might not be viable for a small business owner to have to give up their time for operations and other more higher leverage decisions that they should be making and focusing on. But also, hiring a social media expert is really expensive, and they don't have the kind of fund for that. But we are seeing this as a problem for other people as well. A lot of developers who are building incredible products now with Claude Code, V0, all these different kinds of tools, but they don't know the first thing about distribution and effective marketing. And even Fortune 500 social media managers who have reached out to us because they don't understand the nuances between some of these platforms as well. Next slide.
So with Soshi, we're aiming to bring a personal AI social media manager expert to everyone and democratize that expertise, especially for these people who don't have the time, money, or knowledge to do it themselves. So this is our Engage feature right here, and as you can see, Soshi will literally open a browser in the cloud, log in on your behalf, and scroll your Twitter For You feed, following feed, and find tweets in your niche that are relevant to your business or brand, and come up with these replies for you, and then give it to you in a queue for you to easily approve or reject, kind of just like Tinder swiping. And we tailor this exactly to you by analyzing your profile while you onboard and produce kind of like your system prompts. You can think about it that way for your niche, target audience, and writing style. And next slide. And we also do the same thing for posts. So we have a variety of posting helpers that just help you write posts that directly engage with your audience as well, and put this in a queue for you as well.
Yeah, next slide. So our V2 is meant to be a lot more proactive and fully intelligent. You can see this is kind of an example of what it might look like, having an AI employee, and you're kind of in the manager position, just approving the decisions that Soshi's making and kind of just making sure it's on the right track. Sorry, next slide. Yeah, it's at 0 seconds.
I'm making AI sleeping companion. Oh, 30 seconds. AI sleeping companion. I'm Japanese, and in Japan, 50% of people cannot sleep within 30 minutes. But this AI companion character say, okay, let's relax your eyes and hear the sound. Relax, relax, relax. Oh, sleep. Like within 10 minutes, like that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mitchell Castetter. I am the founder and CEO here at Bioreact. At Bioreact, we're using AI to understand how cells grow under various conditions to improve the growth of products like beer, vaccines, cultured meat, biofuels, flavors and fragrances. I can go on all day about the things that microorganisms can create. But unfortunately, the scientists that are in this industry, they have to run thousands of experiments at small scale to try to understand the differences in pH, temperature, dissolved oxygen. All of these conditions are knobs that you can tweak in this vessel called a bioreactor that helps cells grow. And so AI adoption in this space has been relatively slow. And really why that is because scientists, they're pretty unorganized. They've got data living in SharePoint, lab notebooks, written down on pieces of paper. There's no way to structure that data properly so that AI can understand these are inputs. How was the success of the experiment? How do we change the inputs to improve the outcome of the experiment? And so I like this meme that says, scientists love AI, they love what it can do, but unfortunately, they don't want to structure their data so that AI can be used for it. And so how does Bioreact work? So scientists simply drag and drop Excel or CSV files into our platform. We align the data. The scientists tag it as either inputs or outputs. We train an AI and machine learning model based on how cells grow under these various conditions. And then we run 10,000 simulations based on these different conditions to try to find the ideal conditions for an experiment to be considered successful. And so this kind of just shows you a little bit of a heat map in that simulation there, where each of those dots is a in silico experiment. And so not to brag, but we increased yield by 22%, and we beat the best scientist experiment 8 out of 10 times. And this is from a large biopharma company. I can't say their name, but they made one of the COVID vaccines. So these companies are saving a ton of money, not only on reduced number of experiments at small scale, but also increasing the yield at large scale whenever they're manufacturing a drug substance or cultured meat, you name it. We've grown to over 600 monthly active users from some big names here at the bottom. I myself bring a biotech sales background. My CTO here is a PhD in bioinformatics, so we bring kind of that commercial and technical blend. We are raising a $1 million pre-seed round at a $5 million cap. We have $400,000 committed and wired from our friends down the street at Plug and Play. And we've got about 1.4 million in due diligence right now. So if you are an investor, open up your pocketbook if you do want to invest, because room in the round is filling up quickly. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Gideon Bain. I'm the CEO of LotTech AI, and we make AI voice agents for the fixed operation departments in automotive dealerships. So what does that mean? So last time you got your car scheduled or went to order an oil filter, you say something like, hey, my C300 Mercedes-Benz has a broken taillight, right? And for the fixed operations department, you're usually on hold for about 15, 20 minutes. Might as well go to AutoZone at that point. So our main customers, next slide, our main customers are the parts department with problems with time-intensive customer service, parts obsolescence, manual process, and customer frustration. At LotTech, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're hitting these AI workflows into antiquated markets, and we're seeing real actionable insights. Perfect, thank you. We're seeing real actionable insights from our customers. We're not trying to hit and run them for a few $1,000s a month, and then also on top of that, making them churn, and then they never get our service again. Here we have VIN decoding. So we're actually partnered with all of the major manufacturer OEM catalogs. So instead of being just a transcriber like all of our competitors, we actually get your correct part fitment. So instead of just getting a generic part for your car, we actually get the exact specific model, give you the pricing, the availability of the inventory, and then you can check out and fulfill directly to your address, or you can pick it up at the dealership itself. So this is our dashboard. You can see actionable insights like how much time we saved your dealership, how much increase in parts revenue that we gave you. Actually, next slide. Yeah, so 22% increase in parts revenue, and these dealerships are doing hundreds and thousands of dollars every month. So that 22% increase is really hitting your top line. Next, we see a 13% decrease in parts obsolescence, which is how many extra inventory is actually left over at the end of the month. So this is just inventory sitting out. Some of our clients had oil filters from the early 90s and 80s. And finally, we get 40 plus hours of employee saved, employee time saved per month. So basically what happens is a team of 10 can now be run with a team of 1. And the dashboard, like I showed before, is shown. So you get the customer information, the part information, the vehicle info, and then payment information, of course. We're live in hundreds of dealerships, piloting in tens of dealerships. And yeah, we signed our first customer 3 months ago. We're increasing revenue pretty substantially on the sorry, misspelled Safford Brown there. But we're in a lot of dealerships right now. We're increasing. We signed our first customer 3 months ago. And yeah, if you don't believe me, call our demo.
So today, I want to tell you about Yondu. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Yondu AI, a company that's reshaping the future of physical labor. Our vision is a future where all manual logistics tasks and really all repetitive tasks across industries are done autonomously by robots. Our core team consists of my co-founder and I, both from MIT. We both did Y Combinator together, and we have an incredible team of postdocs, PhDs, industry vets, and 4 incredible founding engineers to support them. The problem we're facing here is turnover, mistakes, really the systemic inefficiency of relying on this human workforce for really labor-intensive, physically demanding jobs. What we're building to tackle this is an embodied AI platform that lets us, lets you, lets anybody automate any task within logistics using off-the-shelf robots. We essentially provide the brain, the training, the model to enable general purpose robot hardware to be deployed in any warehouse or manufacturing environment. How we differentiate from existing solutions that are out there is if you look at any machine or automation solution on the market, they're all purpose-built. They're really expensive. And because of that, over 90% of warehouses actually have no automation solutions at all. What we're enabling is what's called brownfield installation. It lets you deploy a robot in any situation without having to change the infrastructure. Our tech stack looks like this. It consists of our robot control system that lets us collect data in real-world warehouses. It's the training pipeline and the actual manipulation model that we've developed in-house. And then it's the integration software that lets us actually deploy the robot in the real world and make value. And why we will win is instead of building general-purpose robots that do your chores and wash your dishes and mow your lawn, we're focusing on one task. It lets us saturate the space of all possible environments and objects that a robot has to deal with. And it lets us actually deploy these robots in the real world today. In fact, we're working with a pilot customer, one of the largest third-party logistics companies in Los Angeles right now. We're focusing right now on the bin picking space, even though our application really could focus on any logistics task, because it is a $30 billion expenditure across the industry, and it's one of the highest turnover tasks within logistics. Our competitive landscape looks like this. We offer really the only solution that has a high degree of automation while having a low cost and time of implementation. What we've built so far is this teleoperation system and the ability to collect data and our initial implementation with our pilot customer. What's next is expanding across logistics to other tasks within industry, and then far in the future, making our platform a turnkey solution so that anybody, any embodied AI platform company can actually use our stack to automate their task, whether it's in hospitality, manufacturing, or other industries. Thank you guys so much. You can scan this QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn, find out more, book a meeting, tour our warehouse, whatever it might be. Thank you.
I'm Jack Skandasamy, co-founder and CEO of Latent AI. We are a DARPA-backed technology company spun out of SRI International right down the road in Menlo Park, founded and established in Princeton, New Jersey. We are backed by some of the leading investors, and one of them is sitting right here. Thank you, Rob. Steve Jurvetson from Future Ventures, and also backed by Lockheed Martin and Booz Allen from a defense perspective. Great. We have over 40 engineers in the team. My co-founder, Sek Chai, is a leading computer vision scientist from Georgia Tech and SRI International. He spun out the company with me. And we have folks from MIT, from Princeton, from Carnegie, from Rochester working for us in our Princeton office, right? We have specialization in machine learning, compilers, as well as software engineering and robotics. What have we done? We have built the next generation of software development kit, the platform to build AI models for the edge. Right? We have an end-to-end MLOps platform that helps you design, optimize, and deploy AI models to the edge. What is edge? Edge can be anything from a sensor all the way to the server, right? We call it the edge continuum. Even in the cloud, it works, right? We take different AI models, tune them, run them on our extensive hardware farm in our Princeton lab, starting from a Raspberry Pi all the way to a H200 server. We run every model, every sort tuning, we run it on the device, we measure how fast does it run, how much memory does it take, how much power does it draw. We've run this over several thousand times, over 200,000 hours of this run has been done. We are sitting on top of 12 terabytes of data. And this data is continuing to expand on a daily basis. As we get new data, we are seeing. right? On top of this, the toolkit and the data, we have developed an agent that allows a software engineer without ML experience to build AI model for any edge device. Okay? Here's an example. All right, we are a defense-focused company. We booked $4 million in revenue last year, and we are booking about 250% this year of that. Right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cinnamon Sipper. I'm the CEO of Godella. And Godella is an AI physics engine for mechanical engineers. So unlike other AI models out there, it's built to handle physics accurately, which means it can be used as a replacement to simulations and physical prototypes for engineers. So to contextualize why I'm in this space and why our team believes that this is the next frontier in AI, I want you to think about how you use AI models today, right? Like with a single question, you can generate award-winning poetry, summarize thousands of pages of text, rewrite code. But if you wanted to figure out how a new airplane design would perform when flying at a higher altitude, or how a new material alloy would perform under extreme stress or different environments, you can't do that today. And it's because AI models are missing physics reasoning. So Stephen Wolfram likes to say that the universe is computation. I like that model too, because it means that there's a path to having command of our understanding of the universe. And that's exciting for me and my team, because as former engineers, we use that understanding to make breakthrough innovations. And so our question was, how do we take AI models and build physical reasoning into them? And what can we do if we do that? Like I said, for our team, it's personal because we're mechanical engineers. And I used to build products for Google, for Apple. Abhijit, my co-founder, used to build models for jet engine and plasma physics. And so day in and day out, our job was trying to figure out when you're designing the next generation of a certain product to achieve a certain performance, how do you do that? And the tools you use today, they're expensive and time-consuming and surprisingly rigid. And I'm going to walk through a specific example. So I used to design the 14-inch MacBook Pro, and one of the most expensive parts of the design process was trying to figure out what would happen if you drop it from 1 meter. And to do that, you would either physically test, this is not unique to just Apple, right? That's expensive and time-consuming, or you would run a simulation using our understanding of physics, which is also very expensive and very rigid, surprisingly. Now, when ChatGPT came out, I was super excited because I was thinking, what happens if I ask ChatGPT, hey, run a 1 meter drop simulation? The answer is you get reasoning and you get language discussion of what happens, not actual physics. So what would it take if ChatGPT or any other AI model was to give accurate physical AI reasoning? Well, instead of being trained on language data, you would need to train on physics laws, simulation, and experimental data. And that's what we're doing with Godella. And so in the interest of time, I want to show you what this looks like as a product. And I wish this would play instantly, but it was a GIF. It was supposed to play. But what it means is you can ask a question and upload your 3D geometry and say, hey, show me surface pressure on this car going 60 miles per hour. And instantly,
Time is up.
Oh.
We simplify text from children's stories to scientific research at a level you can understand, making comprehension accessible for all. Over 600 million children worldwide lack basic comprehension skills. Teachers rewrite content to different reading levels, which doesn't scale. Generic tools leave autistic students and other special needs students behind. The result, knowledge stays locked away. ReadEasy is a classroom-ready AI platform that simplifies text to a reader's level and adapts and explains jargon across all reading levels in real time across 20+ languages. Unlike existing one-size-fits-all technology, it provides an adaptive scaffolding, allowing readers to engage, not just consume. We co-design and test with every audience we serve.
Let's do a quick demo. So over here, we can see that you can upload any image or enter any text to the website. This passage about AI contains big words like transformers and self-attention mechanisms. So for a 10-year-old simplification, we can see that there's a conversational explanation with kid-friendly analogies to efficiently explain the vocabulary and the jargon that's complicated. For a 13-year-old who has a higher level of comprehension, we can see that there's a smaller list of vocab and jargon, as well as a more complicated language levels.
Over half of children worldwide can't understand a simple text by age 10. That's our market, the comprehension gap. We're targeting over 133 million English learners across US and India. We've already reached out to a limited 1K users across 247 classroom-wide accounts from 10 plus schools since we're entirely self-funded. We're a passionate team and self-funded Read Easy using earnings from past internships. We collaborated with Sarum AI to bring it to underprivileged schools in India to enable translation into 20 plus Indian regional languages. Read Easy is purpose-built for comprehension and doesn't require additional prompt engineering. To ensure pedagogical accuracy, our moat comes from user feedback loops, age-based reading data, and multilingual support. ChatGPT and other LLMs require additional oversight, aren't classroom safe, and provide direct answers, which hinders student learning and over-reliance. We're seeking school district partnerships and 25K strategic funding to get us started. This will help scale compute resources, enable offline access, and refine personalization to individual context windows, as well as integration into edtech platforms such as Google Classroom. Read Easy gets people the help they need. From first graders to PhDs, from autistic learners to first-time English speakers, we level the playing field because every learner deserves to understand the world. Join us in revolutionizing comprehension and accessibility for all. Thank you.
My name is Aina. I'm co-founder and CEO of Morpho AI, and we are building hardware foundation models. What does that mean? In the way you have LLMs to process text, VLMs to process images, we're building models to be able to process components and to be able to turn them into machines so that mechanical engineers don't have to spend months and several years building out new hardware. We're helping them automate and decide what parts to use, compose that into new, verified machine designs so that they can quickly iterate and create new machine designs in a matter of hours and days and get to their first prototype instead of months and years. We're building atop of traditional CAD and CAE workflows to be able to automate all of the manual work that goes on top in terms of selecting the parts, deciding trade-offs, and actually even automating the design that you have to do in CAD, and all the way down to being able to do multiple simulations at the same time. The reason we're doing this is I actually spent many years in the hardware world. I built 2 manufacturing tech companies before, finding new IP, creating new machines, and actually putting that out in the world. And I realized it was so painful and so long and so expensive. And when I ended up at Harvard for my MBA after I did my second company, handed over to someone else to take it to Series B, met my co-founder, Andy, who is an absolute expert and genius in the space. He's written more than 40 plus papers on how to be able to create these models and algorithms and turn that into new robot designs, which is also where we're starting. We're a team of 6 people. Cumulatively, we spend time at NVIDIA, Amazon Robotics, Tesla, and a few other companies, primarily writing algorithms for machine design. And we also are commercializing this with more groundbreaking hardware. So working directly with a consortia out of the UK where we got a £2.5 million grant from them, in addition to the YC batch that we just recently did. So we're working directly with a lot of robotic companies that are trying to create new dexterous hardware and actually starting with the hardest problems that have plagued the engineering world. How do we actually build complicated things that have decades-long timelines? So we're working with Shadow Robot, Ocado, and we're already bringing down things that take sometimes even up to a week, down to less than 5 minutes to be able to do the exact same thing in their CAD workflows today. Even something as simple as getting a cost sometimes takes some people weeks, and we can do that in less than 5 minutes today. So if you're building any cool new hardware or know somebody who's struggling to commercialize something that's groundbreaking, please come talk to me. I'd love to help you go faster. We're Morpho AI, and we're building software for the hardware world. Thank you.
So I'm Yaniv. I'm the founder and CEO of Alpha Biome. I'm also a researcher at MIT, and as I mentioned before, I've been spending the past 20 years looking at how AI can be used to find order in the chaos. Started Alpha Biome, where we built a platform that can analyze trillions of genetic patterns and revolutionize the ways biomarkers are being discovered and used. Biomarkers, the signals that our body leaves behind that can be used to predict a disease before we actually see it, to diagnose what's wrong with someone, and also to predict what is the best treatment. the best treatment for a patient. And the less kind of biomarkers are extremely useful. And they are being acquired in the billions by pharma companies every year. And the reason is that they bring together the best interests of the patients with the best interests of the pharma. Patients, of course, would like to benefit from the best treatment, where pharma can use the ability to predict who is going to react to their drugs in order to extend existing drugs and revolutionize the way next drugs are being developed. This is a $50 billion market. Hundreds of deals where pharma have acquired biomarkers have been done. Usually, companies that develop biomarkers spend about a decade working on one problem. If it succeeds, it's $1 billion exit. It doesn't, company shuts down. Our platform can get data and problem, run the system, get a result, and you can use it already. We spend the first 2 years actually proving what we can do on animals, as I'll show you in a minute. But before that, the reason we are so different is we operate on the microbiome, those trillions of creatures living inside us and on us. And this is something no other technique can do. You've probably heard of Google's last model that can analyze the human genome, NVIDIA's Evo 2 model that can analyze the human genomes. These all are amazing technologies, but they analyze the human genome. They cannot analyze the microbiome because 99% of the microbes are currently still unknown, so no model can analyze them. We spent 2 years conducting the world's largest clinical trial on dairy cows, where we showed that we can use this technology to predict which drug is going to be effective. We tripled the efficacy of commercially available drugs. It was validated in 30,000 cows, 4 continents, dozens of sites. Then we proceeded to humans, Crohn's and colitis. We used real data, real patients, real microbiome data to double the efficacy, as you can see here, of treatments. We have already signed agreement for Wegovy and Dupixent, which is atopic dermatitis, which is what we're going to do next. Looking to collaborate with pharma companies and leading players in this field. Thank you.
So this is Boris. Boris is a software engineer at Patreon, earning $100,000 a year. But Boris spends around 30% of his time just testing. You see, Boris is trying to get promoted. So Boris is shipping as fast as he can. But a global corporation like Patreon, they have very strict testing guidelines. So Boris spends hours every week either testing manually or using archaic testing tools that haven't evolved in over 10 years. Tools which still rely on flaky DOM-based selectors that break every time you push a new commit. You see, Boris is just one such engineer in America. There are 1.5 million Borises in America. That's 1.5 million developers using tools that haven't evolved in over 10 years. That's a $45 billion opportunity stuck 10 years in the past. That is until now. Let me introduce you Docket. Docket is a vision-first testing agent that lets companies write and maintain end-to-end tests. You can write tests using natural language. We then use our vision models to turn your prompt into a comprehensive end-to-end test on your web application. On the left, you'll see reasoning and actions that our agent took. On the right, you get to see the exact clicks that our agent took on your web application. These actions are then cached and run across thousands of browsers at once. If you want to see just how powerful this is, scan this QR code to see Docket test Airbnb and convert it into a 145 action test covering their entire host experience flow. We're at 60K in ARR. We doubled in revenue last month and are on track to double again this month. Do you remember Boris from earlier? Well, he's actually my co-founder. Boris was a quant dev at Citadel, where he built the scheduler used by every fixed income trader at the firm. Before that, Boris was at Patreon, where he was one of 2 engineers that rewrote Patreon's entire recommendation engine. I myself was a software engineer at Stripe, building API infrastructure that powered 30,000 requests a second. Before that, I was at Brex, where I had the fastest promotion to senior engineer for launching Brex's first ever procurement offering. So we're both software engineers. We know the testing problem firsthand, and we're building the tool that we wish we had. We're Docket. Thank you.
Hey you guys, I'm Jacob Rodriguez. I'm also coming from MIT, but unfortunately I didn't finish my degree, given the fellowship I received. But I have never really talked about oligo space after this point, so I'm super excited to show everyone what we're actually been up to. To make it super simple, we're building a single infrastructure to produce any spacecraft. And the way we're doing it is we're going directly from mission requirements to actual flight hardware across LEO, MEO, and geostationary orbits. And the reason why I'm presenting here at this specific conference is because we're actually using AI and software tooling to build our systems faster and cheaper than anyone else. The real funny part here, though, is that I'm not just some 23-year-old who interned at JPL trying to throw AI at a spacecraft problem. All we're really doing is producing spacecraft at NASA standards while using tooling to make it an order of magnitude faster. So we all started basically a year ago in a Venice house, then a 1,300 square feet sublease, and then a 4,000 square foot facility, and then now, that got turned into an office, by the way. Now with a team of NASA JPL veterans, Princeton, MIT, Harvard software engineers, and a couple of variety other schools located in Southern California, we've turned this 14,000 square foot facility into an entire spacecraft production and manufacturing facility. We're here with an ISO 8 clean room the size of an entire 4,000 square foot warehouse, and we're ready to start building, producing, and launching spacecraft. So we use software-defined design and manufacturing, and I thought I was gonna do a lightning talk, so I'll speed through the tech, where all we're really doing is every single piece of hardware you see here was defined by code and then produced and manufactured, either outsourced through existing machines or using some of our own internal machinery. But where we're implementing AI is that we're actually taking in different types of customer mission-specific requirements and even entire pamphlets and packets by NASA and the Space Force through requests for proposals, and then breaking them down using our own in-house hosting of OCR workflows, LLMs, VLMs, lookup tables, and all these different forms of things, and translating them into exactly what an aerospace engineer ends with, a list of spacecraft system requirements. However, if we just created system requirements, that's not enough. Everyone that we work with wants an asset functioning directly in orbit, so we gotta do a little bit more than that. We actually produce full orbit determination as well as telecommunication pass-throughs without any human in the loop. We know what ground stations we're talking to, we know how much we gotta uplink and downlink at the same time. And we also found a way to develop most of our structural components 10 times faster. Instead of using traditional SIMP-based optimization for topology optimization, we turned it all into a reinforcement learning problem. And we were able to generate these structures not in minutes, but in literal seconds. Through this, we've created our own UI that we use all the time to create probably some of the most alien structures you've ever seen. And the whole point is our entire model is not trained on pre-existing spacecraft. We're doing everything here from first principles. All spacecraft engineering is, it's an environmental engineering problem, and we finally have the tools today to address this automation now. So all of our parts are actually produced on this little machine here.
Time is up, unfortunately.
Got it.
Who found that bloody exciting? Okay.
I just wanted to show photos more than anything.
So I don't know how much further you were going to go down in your talk, but this sounds all great in theory. When do you deploy your next? I know you're coming to it.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Go ahead.
So we're moving fast because we need to, because we've already processed 17 payloads and have even processed ashes in space. We have already got a Phase 1 award to replace a 30-person modeling and simulation team in the US government that's building the biggest world constellation. And we're launching our first spacecraft that's 100 kilograms, June 2026, with us already have the launch booked and integration starting. However, we also have the second one booked next year as well. So we're going as fast as we can, and the best part, people paid us for it. We have $300,000 in commercial revenue for our first mission named Chimera 1. And we will be breaking the record for design to launch of these 100-kilogram spacecraft, not once, but back to back. Because our second design scale, or second design cycle, is faster than our first, and the spacecraft is going to be looking completely different.
Hey everybody, I'm Vikram Chatterjee from Galileo. We're the leading AI application observability and guardrail platforms. Think of what Datadog did so far for all of us on the software engineering and software development side of things. Galileo is doing the same thing, but for AI applications and agents across a host of different enterprises globally. We're live with Verizon, John Deere, JP Morgan Chase, Comcast, HP, and a host of other organizations, mostly focused on the enterprise. Let me see. Could you go to the next slide? The clickers, yeah, thank you. So we are a Series B company. We've been around for about 4.5 years at this point. I was heading product at Google AI, literally in this building before starting the company, working on the transformers side of things, specifically built out a lot of NLP applications at scale. My co-founders were heading Google speech engineering for the longest time, and so we had a very unique point of view on how transformer-based applications, which are pretty much the norm today, would be very different from an observability perspective than traditional software engineering applications. Specifically, we all know this at this point, that AI applications are very complex. They're non-deterministic, very complex compound systems. Lots and lots of things can go wrong, from the input to the output to everything in between. And as agents are starting to proliferate across the enterprise, what we're noticing is all of our customers, whether it's HP or Verizon or John Deere, they've gone from 1 to 50 agents within 60 days. And we've been helping them get there. But then more interestingly, what's starting to happen is multi-agent communications have started to become a thing. We are on the steering committee for A2A at Google. We are working with them towards this communication protocol. And this is going to become an even bigger problem from a complexity perspective when it comes to agent observability and knowing where things are going wrong and how do you actually stop that. So the big question becomes in the enterprise, how can I trust all these agents that I'm putting out there for some of the most critical tasks within the organization or outside? So we've built out this end-to-end platform for building, monitoring, and protecting agents at scale, powered by our metrics engine. Our thesis and hypothesis has always been that to be able to do observability well, you have to be able to measure things really well. So we've obsessed on the measurement problem of AI. We have pre-built metrics. We have custom metrics. We have our infrastructure built out such that you can auto-improve metrics over time for any of your use cases. And more importantly, at scale, we've built an entire stack where including our own evaluation language models, such that we can provide very, very ultra-low latency, ultra-low cost, high accuracy evaluation metrics at scale, which not only help with observability, but runtime blocking of any harmful responses from your agents. So we're live with a bunch of enterprises already. We've improved POC to production velocity by 12x. We have over 1 billion agent logs processed per month and over 800 custom metrics, and more importantly, 200 million plus requests and responses intercepted in runtime at scale in some of the largest organizations globally. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Moinul. I'm representing Orascape. We're a cybersecurity company specializing in AI security. Over the last 25 years, my co-founding team and I, we work for some of the greatest cybersecurity companies in the Silicon Valley: Palo Alto Networks, Zscaler, Netscope, Juniper. We build everything from firewall and distributed web proxies, secure service edge, data loss prevention, CASB. And then about 2.5 years ago, ChatGPT came in, and then soon after, an AI tsunami. And what we quickly realized that everything that we have built over the last 20 plus years, these products were good enough for web traffic, HTTPS, and SaaS-based services, but these products are not good enough for AI tools. AI tools are very different. They're dynamic. They're learning, adapting, and evolving in real time. And your existing firewall and proxies, 90% of the time, they're completely blind. And that is the reflection that we see when we connect with network security people and CISOs of the company. One of the largest US healthcare manufacturing company, the CIO, he knows that their employees are using tons of AI tools that they're finding on the internet. And he's extremely sensitive about data loss and their intellectual property logs. The CISO, one of the largest financial services company, they have been using Microsoft O365 for many number of years. They're now connecting Microsoft Copilot, and he's worried that Microsoft is going to index all their company data that is sitting in OneDrive and SharePoint. And here's the CISO, large enterprise customer in oil and gas. Their software developers are developing a lot of internal and external facing chatbots using different foundational model at the back end. His worry is when these chatbots are responding, they're not hallucinating, they're not data poisoned, they're not jailbroken. And for all of these problem statements, at Orascape, we put together a very comprehensive list of capabilities. The first thing we focus on is publicly available AI tools: chatbots, generative AI, embedded AI, agentic AI, any client, MCP, client-server communication. For all of these, we are an inline proxy sitting between your employees and all these shiny toys that they find on the internet. And we focus on two things. With our threat prevention stack, we make sure the threats are not coming in. And with our data security stack, we protect your sensitive data and intellectual property. For Copilot readiness, we have an out-of-band API connection. We connect with your third-party apps, and we monitor what it is that Copilot is indexing. And for your privately developed apps, we are a reverse proxy sitting in between your application front end and all the backend modules, and we make sure that queries and responses are always secure.
Welcome. My name is Vanessa Hepner, and I'm CEO and founder of Altus AI. We are AI for digital infrastructure. But what does that mean? Let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit more. So in this journey, when I first got started with Altus, it actually, when I was a consultant back in my days at EY as a cybersecurity consultant, I got to see actually on the back of the house of companies and how much they struggled with their technology. They're spending about $5.6 trillion in technology and infrastructure just this year alone. And that's a huge problem. There's a lot of technology out there, and it's only increasing because more and more companies are spending money on AI. As we've seen, there's a lot of AI solutions out there. There's a lot of incumbents that are adding AI solutions. So the cost is increasing. But the problem here is visibility. Companies are having a really hard time understanding what truly is within their technology infrastructure. They want to understand in their ecosystem, what are all the applications that I have? What is all the cloud infrastructure and spend? Tell me about my data centers if that's applicable to me. I also want to understand my employee hardware, and I want to see it in one place. I want to see it in one spot. So when we started Altus, we did a lot of infrastructure interviews with CIOs and CTOs to say, tell us what you want to see. So Altus, we maximize that efficiency, we decrease that spend, and we increase ROI for the full tech stack. And we bring that together in full tech stack visibility, cost optimization, and our AI is that engine that helps manage everything in one spot for you. So we're modernizing that tech stack management, right? That full visibility like we talked about, the AI-driven insights for smarter decisions, and the proactive agents powering automation and scale. And we have a huge market opportunity. We talked about that $5.6 trillion, and that number is increasing 30% per year. This is a huge opportunity. Our competitive landscape, we have a lot of point solutions in market. However, what we're addressing is we are replacing point solutions, creating that category-defining moment, and Altus is the one leading the way for companies because we are managing and modernizing the way that companies manage their technology. Our go-to-market strategy, right now we're doing founder-led sales, we're expanding and growing, and right now we also just started our go-to-market motion. And what's really incredible is we're already starting to work with some of the biggest global brands around the world. Our pricing strategy, I know this is getting more in the tactical aspects here, but we have a 3-tier pricing strategy that we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the companies that we have met with because we do unlimited seats and we do AI credits. And so it's a new way of looking at it and a new way that a lot of companies are migrating to when it comes to SaaS. Okay. Oh, yes, our time ended. Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cyrus. I'm the CEO of Andiron, and we're building the next generation of growth marketing. So fundamentally, what this is for is any business that does growth marketing, we quantify the market as the $500 billion that's being spent on analytics solutions, marketing automation software. This is going to 5x in the next decade, especially as more businesses come online. The problem, so this is my third company, and I'm solving the problem that I experienced with my first company. So I had an e-commerce brand where my first Facebook ad campaign was on a Friday. I published it. I thought it was amazing. Monday comes around. I spent $5,000 with $600 in attributed sales. So I basically just lit my savings on fire. And I learned in running my second company, which was a 40-person marketing agency, that that's not uncommon, and there's a huge knowledge and skill gap. So there's a crisis of confidence, and there's bad resource allocation at, frankly, every level of the every company size. So what we've built in Andiron is a self-orchestrating, self-managing network of single-agent, multi-agent teams that run growth marketing experiments. So the way to describe this is I don't know if anybody is Severance fans on Apple TV, but we built the severed floor of 100 marketing agents that can work with any marketing teams. The way that this would work, the way that the product works is, let's say that you're out at a restaurant with your friends, you run a e-commerce store or you run a small business that sells buckets. There's an agent that scrapes and identifies all the top trends and top new videos on TikTok. There's the Ice Bucket Challenge. You're not on TikTok, but what you get is you get a text message saying, hey, the Ice Bucket Challenge is trending on TikTok. You sell buckets. Here's what we think we need to do. We should run a Facebook ad and we should update your Amazon product listing. And what you can do is you can send a text message back being like, yes to the Facebook ad, no to the Amazon product listing. And what we do is that we deploy a micro experiment and we quantify the uplift. We forecast that you've generated $100 in sales, and if the Facebook ad was a good idea, we'll identify that how much added revenue and contribution margin came from it. So what we want to do is almost in a sort of profit-aligned way, we want to make this available to both the SMBs, but also we do have, come to the traction in just a second, but we do have enterprise customers. But we want to make this available, this type of growth marketing, this sort of type of scientific rigor in the marketing realm to businesses large and small, where I was about a decade ago. And today we've been in closed beta. We have 80 brands that we've been working with, primarily in the e-commerce space. It's been clean and easy to kind of build this out. We do have, our largest customer does about $1 billion in GMV across Amazon and Shopify. We have 3.
Good afternoon, Stucky.
Sure.
My name is Kartik. My co-founder's name is Gabriel. He was at Harvey Mudd. I was computer science and economics. We did Y Combinator a couple years ago together. We're still running the same company. The company is called Quill Bills. So doctors in the United States, when they see a patient, they have to put together a bill in a very specific format. It's called CMS 1500. Then they send this bill to the insurance company sends some money back, and then sometimes they send back denials. And then the doctor ideally goes back and fights those denials, but often they don't have time. Now, doctors don't actually spend their own time creating these bills and sending them over, so they hire billers, human beings whose whole job is to do the data entry of putting together these bills and handling the receipts, the denials. Billers, especially outsourced billing firms, in the United States will charge you anywhere from 5 to 10% of collections. And if you offshore, it might be as low as 3%. We are one of these billing outsourcing companies. We will do the billing for doctors, but we do it for significantly less because we've automated the job with AI. In addition, about 5 to 30%, depending on the specialty, of your total charges as a doctor that you send to the insurance company will be denied in these denials. 5 to 30, it depends. Some specialties are really, really low risk on that end, and some are really high risk. But we claw a lot of that back because we just throw that into an AI system which actually goes and writes the appeals letters and again tries to get some of those denials clawed back. And the reason that's not getting clawed back right now is if you're a human biller and you work at a human billing firm, you would rather spend your time processing new claims instead of chasing after old claims. So oftentimes they just don't chase after the old claims at all. So we get the doctors both a top line increase and a lower price for billing. That's what our company does. We launched this about 2 weeks ago because we were actually doing something totally different for the prior 2 years after doing YC. But in those last 2 weeks, we've built it to about 47K in ARR. And that's 2 clinics, both based in Florida. And we're growing. So if you know engineers, that would be wonderful. But actually more important, if you know doctors or hospital leadership, please, please come to me and I will love you forever. That's Quill Bills.
My name is Vin Sharma. I'm the founder and CEO of Vigil, short for Vigilant or Vigilante, depending on the time of the day and who we're talking to. I'm the bearer of bad news in this. If you're really excited about AI, I'm old enough to see these cycles over the past 30 years to know that the hype eventually dies. And what we're here to tell you is to build past the hype. And what that means to us is that expect failure in agents, and it doesn't take a genius to know that 95% of the AI projects have been failing for the past 15 years. This is not news. The reason they fail is consistently the same usual suspects. It's a lack of ROI or proof of value. It's lack of talent within the organizations. It's a lack of preparedness for the data and the platform that supports the workflows. And ultimately, it's a lack of trust. And we think that that is the most important work that we as Vigil should focus on. And the way we come at it is to assume that agents today aren't failing because they lack ability. They lack all of these other attributes that make a business user want to deploy them in production in a mission-critical role. And isn't enough to do just one of these. It's not enough to have a nice guardrail against prompt injections and call it a day. It's not enough to be focusing on bias and say that that's good enough. You actually have to treat an agent as an employee. And if you don't think it's enough for an employee to be able to say, well, I don't take bribes, but I lie and cheat all the time, then it's not good enough for an agent to have some of this, but not all of it. So we believe that you have to treat an agent holistically in much the same way that you treat a new hire that you have to bring on board and be able to test them. And in order to trust them, you have to make sure that you monitor them continuously within the scope of the job that they're supposed to do, according to the organization's policies in which they work. And to us, that translates to a notion of trust that we think is somewhat unique in the industry. We're coming at this from top down, from a first principles point of view. And what that means to us is that you have to expect the agent to behave as it is supposed to do, as it is scoped to do and specified to do, within a variety of conditions. And those conditions aren't just the conditions in which it was trained, it's the conditions of the real world in which it will be used. And if it fails, which it will inevitably fail, because there will always be a hacker who's stronger and more sophisticated than the best guardrails you put against it, there will be some kind of a blast radius of damage, and you have to minimize it. So you have to design for that minimization of the blast radius and contain the effects of the agent before it fails.
My name is Saurabh. I'm founder and CEO of Hestus. Today, I'm going to talk about a $400 billion bottleneck. Now, everything that we use, such as this clicker, started as a design in a computer. But there is a significant difference between a flashy 3D model and what can be manufactured. Because of that, engineers often spend more than 50% of their time futzing with the design manually to meet manufacturing requirements. Why is that? Because they're designing blind. You see, manufacturability requirement only gets back to them after design is done. So engineer does the design knowing nothing about manufacturing constraint, sending design to manufacturer for them to receive feedback, for them to have to change literally everything that they have worked on. So, easy fix. Pair every engineer with a manufacturing expert. Easy peasy, problem solved. One, it's going to cost a frick ton of money. Probably not as much as 400 billion, but still a lot. But second, we don't have that many experts. And the ones that we have, according to Tim Cook, who is going to release another batch of new products tomorrow, are all in China. So how the hell are we going to bring manufacturing back to the US? This time it is easy with Hestus. It gives every engineer an AI manufacturing expert right beside them. It observes what the engineer is doing to understand the design intent and proposes suggestions, recommendations that today only live in the heart and head of most experienced hardware manufacturers. So by the time design is done, you can go and manufacture it. Now, how the hell do I know about this? Because I spent 6 years of my life building a rocket company. And every single day, every single component that we built, I lived this freaking pain. And before that, where I met my co-founder, Kevin, at Cruise, when we were among the 10 first employees of Cruise, we experienced the same freaking pain again. We spent our entire lives in hardware, facing the same pain over and over, and built the software we wish we had. The goal? Easy. Eliminate completely, design for manufacturing cycle, eliminate any do-over that you need to do to shorten weeks into hours. And it is, in fact, working. Engineers love it. And just last month, we grew our users by 34%. We are Hestus. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Priyanka, the founder of Galen AI, the first ever spinal health wearable for your back. So low back pain is the leading cause of disability worldwide, and 600 million people suffer from it annually. Who in this room has ever had like low back pain problems? Show of hands. That's what I thought. And some of you might have it later, so watch out. So the current solutions are very limited, even though so many people suffer from back pain. Products like the TENS units, massagers, and back braces really focus solely on pain relief and short-term solutions, rather than equipping patients with the proper tools for long-term recovery and injury prevention. And this was exactly the gap that my co-founder, Viraj, experienced firsthand after suffering from 2 herniated discs and chronic low back pain for the past 4 years, largely due to a lack of proper resources and guidance on the long-term recovery and injury prevention. And research has shown that analyzing the motion of the spine can reveal functional issues, movement deficits, or early posture breakdown long before the pain even shows up. So at Galen, we're building the first ever comprehensive spinal health wearable that is going to deliver real-time, continuously updated assessment of your back function and wellness. It's going to be a sleek and unobtrusive wearable attaching comfortably to your back without restricting movement or drawing attention. Galen will know exactly how and when your spine moves, learning your movement patterns, correlating them with your pain and functions, and calculating the compressive forces your spine experiences and the activation of your spinal muscles. All of this will also have personalized insights and AI-driven guidance and, to improve your function and reduce pain. Priced at $399, this is a more than $240 billion market opportunity to build the spine health paradigm of the future. So my co-founder Viraj and I are both Stanford CS grads, and we studied computational biology and artificial intelligence. I've published research with the Cleveland Clinic, UCLA, Stanford Med, and worked on AI agent development at Roche. My co-founder worked at top quant trading firms, Optiver and IMC, before struggling with low back pain and sparking his motivation to fix this problem. So essentially, we're the Whoop Fitbit for back health. We're spearheading a paradigm shift in the way we treat back pain, being proactive, insight-driven, and actionable, and giving each person the power to overcome or prevent back pain that leaves so many debilitated. Thank you.
My name is Sasha Servan-Schreiber, and I'm the co-founder of Tinfoil, where we're building verifiably private AI. The problem we're looking at is that AI needs access to a lot of data. The more data you give it, the more context you provide, the better the results. But a lot of this data is private and sensitive. And why should we care about that? Well, as if you've been following the news recently, there's an uptick in concerns around the data that we're putting into chatbots and AI tools. Sam Altman recently pointed out on a podcast that there's no legal confidentiality when you use ChatGPT as a therapist, yet many people do. So the short-term solution is to either just ban or limit AI in sensitive contexts, or send all your data to AI labs. But chatbots are just the beginning. Today we have recording devices that take in all our context on computers, listen to our conversations, and tomorrow we might have brain chips that analyze our thoughts. So in an ideal world, we want to have access to powerful AI models that run on big GPUs in the cloud, but we also want to have clear, auditable data privacy policies, and where users remain in full control over their data. And we want technological enforcements, not pinky promises. We don't want legal contracts that can change overnight and suddenly start storing or collecting your data for other purposes than what you expected. And it turns out you can achieve this using a building block that exists today on NVIDIA GPUs called confidential compute mode. This ensures that all data stays encrypted even while being used for processing your queries. And there's no performance overhead because we're running on NVIDIA GPUs. And all these security claims stem from the hardware, not from privacy policies associated with the service. And so industry standards are evolving quickly. Apple Private Cloud Compute last year pioneered this direction using secure hardware to make their AI inference private. And WhatsApp recently followed suit with private processing using confidential computing. The big labs, Anthropic and OpenAI, are also considering ways to build private AI services using secure hardware primitives. At Tinfoil, we're making it easy to deploy private AI using secure hardware. We're a team of 4 co-founders. 2 of us did our PhDs at MIT, working on security and cryptography. And 2 of us are ex-Cloudflare, experts in cryptography and open source software. We recently finished Y Combinator and are part of the NVIDIA Inception program and Intel Liftoff. You can check us out at tinfoil.sh. And if you want to test out a chatbot running in the secure hardware where all your data will stay private, you can do that right now. Thank you.
My name is Sanjar, and I'm here with my co-founder. We founded this company called Humanola, where we help robotics companies with still operation software. So anyone who wants to remotely control their robots, they can use our software just right out of the box. Like, just go to teleup.humanola.com and plug in your robot and VR headset. You can go to the website and start controlling it. So I'm going to show you one demo right now. So here I am. By the way, yeah, Google Guest Wi-Fi doesn't allow device-to-device communication apparently, so we are it's connected to Ethernet cable.
Yeah, so you can see Sanjar still operating the robot with.
You see, we can do some. Anyone want to do a handshake? Yeah.
Say hello.
Perfect. Yeah, so in the morning we had like a demo session where one of our investors teleoperated the robot from Boston. So it's a cross-country teleoperation. Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is that in future we imagine that we'll have like marketplace of skills. The same way you can download an app today on your phone, any apps, right? You can in future download skills for robots, right? So everyone will have a robot that will, and you can download a skill like cleaning, cooking, etc. Eventually, these robots can be deployed in laboratories and doing all the dirty, dull, and dangerous tasks like in Asimov's books. That's our vision. Yeah, and so far we have a software that anyone can try if you have a robot. And yep, please reach out to us if you're interested.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm building AI sleeping companion named Nell. What is AI sleeping companion? Like that. The character sleeping together in your bed, like that. This big anime character, clear your mind with small talk. Hey, Shu, how about today? No good. Oh, why not good? Like that. And small talk, after small talk, she lead to sleep with method. Okay, close your eyes. Okay, feel free. And focus on ears. Focus on nose, like that. With methods, she leads to sleep. Why I make them? 500 million people and I cannot sleep within 30 minutes. But with this app, they will sleep within 10 minutes. Our first step market is the sleep aid market. This will be $51 billion by 2030. And our goal is the AI companion market. This is $1,153 billion by 2034. Okay, how to win in AI companion market? We know. Three keys. Do primitive thing together. And eye contact and get closer. And solve real problem, not imitation of dating. Okay? How to win is here. So we make AI sleeping companion at first. And our team is 3 Japanese animation nerd hackers. So we know about characters. Thank you very much.